Why Google conquered the world. The economic empire to search is no longer just a verb, it is a brand. Think about your last 24 hours. You likely checked your Gmail, watched a video on YouTube, navigated a street with maps, or simply searched for a random fact to win an argument. We do not just use Google, we live inside its digital ecosystem. But how did two PhD students from Stanford, working out of a rented garage, create a company that handles over 90% of the world's search queries? How did a simple white box with a blinking cursor become a multi-trillion-dollar empire that knows you better than your own family does? To understand Google's dominance, we have to look past the colorful logo and dive into the cold, hard economics of information, psychology, and the most efficient business model ever created. In the late 1990s, the internet was a chaotic digital library where the books were scattered on the floor. Searching for something felt like looking for a needle in a burning haystack. Early portals like Yahoo or AltaVista tried to organize the web manually, cluttering their homepages with news, weather, and banner ads. Then came Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Their breakthrough wasn't just better code, it was a fundamental shift in economic value. They developed an algorithm called PageRank. Before Google, search engines ranked pages by how many times a keyword appeared. Google did something smarter, it treated the web as a meritocracy. It viewed every link as a vote of confidence. If a prestigious website linked to your page, your authority went up. In economic terms, Google solved the problem of information asymmetry. They turned chaos into order, saving users their most valuable currency, time. By the year 2000, Google had the best product, but they didn't have a way to make money. They were burning through investor cash while the dot-com bubble was bursting all around them. This is where the true conquering began. They introduced AdWords, and with it, the intent-based advertising model. Unlike traditional TV ads that scream at everyone, Google's ads were surgical. When you search for best laptop for students, you are telling the world exactly what you want to buy at that precise moment. For an advertiser, this is a miracle. Google didn't just sell ad space, they sold certainty. They implemented a sophisticated auction system where advertisers didn't just pay to be seen, they paid for the click. This created a massive, self-sustaining feedback loop. More users meant more data. More data meant better ad targeting. Better targeting meant more profit for advertisers, which in turn meant higher bids for Google. Suddenly, Google wasn't just a tech company, it was the world's largest and most efficient auction house. But the real secret to their monopoly lies in what economists call the data network effect. The more people use Google, the more the algorithm learns. If 1,000 people search for a term and 90% click on the first link, Google learns that the first link is the most valuable. This creates an insurmountable barrier to entry. Even if a competitor launches a better search engine today, they lack the 25 years of user behavior data that Google owns. Google isn't just winning the race, they own the track, the cars, and the cameras recording every move. They have reached a point where their scale is their greatest defense, making it nearly impossible for anyone else to catch up. While Google's search engine was busy printing money, the company realized a terrifying truth: they were at the mercy of other companies' platforms. If Microsoft decided to block Google on Windows, or if Apple launched its own search engine on the iPhone, Google could lose everything overnight. To survive, they had to stop being just a website and start becoming the foundation of the internet itself. This led to one of the most brilliant and aggressive expansions in corporate history: the acquisition of Android. In 2005, Google bought a small, struggling startup called Android for about $50 million. At the time, it seemed like a side project. But Google had a Trojan horse strategy. They didn't want to sell phones, they wanted to give the software away for free. By making Android open source and free for manufacturers like Samsung and LG, Google ensured that their search engine and their apps would be the default window to the digital world for billions of people. Today, Android powers over 70% of the world's smartphones. This isn't just about hardware, it's about vertical integration. By owning the operating system, Google ensures a constant, unbreakable stream of data from your pocket directly to their servers. Then came the battle for the browser. Before 2008, Microsoft's Internet Explorer was the king of the web. Google realized that whoever controls the browser controls the user's journey. So, they built Chrome. Chrome was faster, cleaner, and more secure, but its true economic purpose was to serve as a gateway. When you use Chrome, you are more likely to stay logged into your Google account, which allows the company to track your behavior across different websites. This cross-site tracking is the fuel for their advertising machine. It allows them to know that you looked at a pair of shoes on an independent blog and then show you an ad for those exact shoes when you check your email. But perhaps the most visionary move was the acquisition of YouTube in 2006 for $1.65 billion. At the time, critics called it a massive gamble on a site full of low-quality home videos. They were wrong. Google saw that the future of the internet was video. By integrating their superior advertising tech into YouTube, they turned a money-losing video site into a global media giant that now generates billions in quarterly revenue. Economically, YouTube represents the attention economy. In the past, companies fought for your money. Now, they fight for your seconds and minutes. YouTube doesn't just host videos, it uses sophisticated machine learning to keep you watching for just one more. This isn't accidental. The longer you watch, the more ads you see, and the more Google learns about your interests, your political leanings, and your shopping habits. This strategy of giving things away for free is a masterclass in modern economics. Most companies charge you for a product. Google gives you the world's best search engine, the world's most popular mobile OS, and the world's largest video platform for $0. But as the saying goes, if you aren't paying for the product, you are the product. Your data, your attention, and your future purchasing decisions are the commodities that Google sells to the highest bidder. They have created a system where it is almost impossible to exist in the modern world without contributing to their bottom line. For over 2 decades, Google's dominance seemed as certain as gravity. But today, the empire is facing a perfect storm of challenges that could fundamentally change its business model forever. To understand the future of Google, we have to look at 2 massive forces, the heavy hand of the law and the explosive rise of generative artificial intelligence. First, let's talk about the legal war. In recent years, governments around the world have started to treat Google not as a successful startup, but as a dangerous monopoly. In the United States and the European Union, Google is fighting massive antitrust lawsuits. The core of the argument is simple: Google isn't just winning because they have a better product, they are winning because they pay billions of dollars to be the gatekeeper. For example, it was revealed that Google pays Apple over $20 billion every year just to remain the default search engine on the iPhone. From an economic perspective, this is called rent-seeking behavior. Instead of innovating, they are paying to prevent competition. If a court decides that these payments are illegal, Google's search moat could evaporate overnight, giving competitors like Microsoft's Bing or privacy-focused engines a real chance to steal market share. But even more dangerous than the lawyers is the technology shift. For 25 years, Google's business model has relied on the link economy. You search for something, Google gives you a list of links, and you click on one. On that journey, you see ads. This is how they make their money. But we are now entering the era of the answer economy. When you ask a generative AI like ChatGPT or Google's own Gemini a question, it doesn't give you a list of links, it gives you the answer directly. This is a massive, innovator's dilemma for Google. If they give you the perfect AI-generated answer at the top of the page, you have no reason to scroll down and click on ads. In other words, the better their AI becomes, the more it risks cannibalizing their own revenue. This is a classic case of what economist Joseph Schumpeter called creative destruction. A new, Superior technology arrives and destroys the old one, even if the old one was a multi-billion-dollar success. However, underestimating Google would be a mistake. The company has been an AI-first organization for over a decade. They own DeepMind, the research lab responsible for some of the biggest breakthroughs in machine learning history. They also have a massive advantage in infrastructure. Training and running large-scale AI models requires an astronomical amount of computing power and specialized chips. Google is one of the few companies in the world that designs its own AI chips, known as tensor processing units, and owns the massive data centers required to run them. Furthermore, Google is diversifying into what they call other bets. This includes Waymo, the world leader in autonomous self-driving taxis, and Google Cloud, which is growing rapidly as more businesses move their operations to the internet. While search still pays the bills, Google is quietly building a future where they don't just find information for you, they drive your car, power your business, and provide the intelligence behind every digital interaction you have. So, why did Google conquer the world? They did it by solving the most fundamental problem of the digital age, the scarcity of attention in an ocean of information. They turned the chaotic web into a profitable, organized map. They gave us tools that felt like magic and charged us nothing but our data. As we look ahead, the question isn't whether Google will disappear, it is too deeply embedded in the world's infrastructure for that. The real question is whether they can pivot fast enough to survive the revolution they helped create. The search bar that changed the world in 1998 is slowly fading, replaced by a digital assistant that speaks, thinks, and predicts our every move. Whether Google remains the leader of this new world or becomes a relic of the old internet is the greatest economic drama of our time.